Good afternoon, YouTube. We're here with another episode at HybridFlow, and today we're going to be talking with Bryant Ireland, aka Autonomous. So today we're going to sit down and have a good conversation with Bryant. How long have you been doing this for now?
I've been practicing martial arts since I was 8.
Okay.
So pretty much my whole life.
Wow. And earlier you were telling me how you specifically practice Kyokushin.
Yeah.
Did I say that correctly this time?
Kyokushin karate, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I got into Kyokushin officially when I was 19.
Wow.
And it's just been always that mysterious, miraculous martial art that my former instructor when I was in high school would talk about. That was his background before he got into kickboxing and then eventually MMA. And finally, when I was in Columbus, Ohio, I had found my instructor, Leo Padron, is his name. And I went to one class to see what it was like, and I was hooked. And my story is a little different than most people's because I didn't start in traditional martial arts.
What'd you start in?
So when I was younger, I don't count that as much because it was just play at that time.
Yeah.
And then I got into sports.
There you
right?
go. Okay.
I didn't really start getting into martial arts seriously until I was about 14.
Okay.
Taekwondo was the first.
Nice. Okay.
First style that I dabbled into more seriously. Because when I was 8, it was some form of karate. I don't know what it was.
Sure.
I was too young to remember. I just wanted to learn how to kick something. But growing up as a kid, there was this martial arts school that was right next to my grandma's house. We'd drive past it because it was in the same building as the Blockbuster we used to go to. And you saw this Korean guy with his foot just straight up in the air. And I was like, Grandma, I want to do that. And she's like, no, we can't afford that. It's like, okay. So one year when I went to go back to visit for Christmas break,
Yeah.
I asked my grandma, I was like, can I go train for a month while I'm here? Because I had the whole month that I was there. And she's like, yeah, sure. So went in there. I can't really say I had an experience because I was 8 to 14. Like, I only practiced for like a couple months when I was 8 because my mom couldn't afford it then either. Martial arts is expensive for private lessons. According to the Grand Master there, I was a natural. And after I left, he strongly recommended that I continued because he saw something in me, and that kind of set the spark that, like, I've tried all these sports. I've always been athletic, but fighting was always my niche. And so went through that. Taekwondo ended up not being enough for me, so I went and found kickboxing.
Okay.
And MMA. And that felt more like my flow of things. Unfortunately, Taekwondo has shifted into sport fighting for the Olympics, and it became less practical and more just focused on sport, and I wanted more variety than just kicking because they barely punch at all. It's all kicks. So I had a rude awakening when I went into kickboxing because if I fought any boxer, how you get punched in the face, it was worse for me. I would get teed off on like crazy. But I wanted to make a shift because I know all great martial artists have a base. A traditional style that they come from, and then they grow from there. So think of it as a tree, right? That foundation, the roots are that traditional style, and as it grows, the branches become everything else, right? It's an addition. But ultimately there's a foundation. Versus if you just start out in MMA, you're gonna be semi-okay at a whole bunch of different things, but you never have a true base on that journey, and worked my way up to black belt.
Okay.
Shodan is black belt in Japanese.
Got it.
Before I moved back to Florida. And then I just continued training while I was there, and other things. I didn't just stick to Kyokushin.
Okay.
Another thing that we practiced was KUDO. KUDO is the Japanese MMA, and that's what brought me out to Japan, was KUDO.
Okay.
And that's what brought me out to Colorado, was KUDO.
Now, what's the difference between the two fight styles?
So KUDO actually came from Kyokushin.
Okay.
So the grandmaster of KUDO, his name is Takashi Azuma. He was one of the students of Masuyama, which is the founder of Kyokushin back in Japan. And he had a different idea for fighting than Masuyama did. And he introduced the idea to Masuyama, and he wanted to keep Kyokushin the way it was. Just bare knuckle knockdown karate. He wanted to keep it and the formulation that he had it versus changing it. Yeah. And so Asuma decided to branch off and do his own thing, and it turned into Japanese MMA.
Okay.
The difference is it's basically MMA with a gi. So he basically took Kyokushin, Judo, and blending them together.
Okay.
So you have the striking from Kyokushin, the throws from Judo, and that's where it started. And then it started picking up. Boxing got introduced, kickboxing got introduced, jiu-jitsu got introduced, and then it just got this blend of all these different styles in one. And what was fascinating about it, and I saw it for the first time when I was 18 on YouTube, thing to street fighting that there is, because there are rules, but there's less rules than there are even in MMA. Because you wear a headgear with a plexiglass face shield, but you can grab, you can headbutt, you can hold, elbow, knee, throw, ground fighting, submissions, everything. It's, I mean, I have to show you sometime. It's awesome.
Preferably not on me, though.
Yeah. But, so yeah, we practice Kyokushin and KUDO at the same time.
Okay.
Right? And I decided when I moved back to Ohio that I want to pursue KUDO, because KUDO had an opportunity to go to the Olympics. And there was opportunity to travel internationally to go fight. And that just, it fascinated me, right? So I moved out to Colorado and came out here with my older, so we were really, really close. He was kind enough to invite me out here to come stay with him and practice martial arts.
Yeah.
So I got to come out here and kind of live my dream. I came out here and trained, and that was kind of what my life was. And just focused on KUDO, and you know, we traveled to LA and fought in a tournament out there. We had a couple tournaments here in Colorado. We traveled, did some jiu-jitsu tournaments, judo tournaments, just wherever there's some competition that could help strengthen us in certain areas of styles to get us ready for eventually going out to Japan.
Yeah. So, kind of walk me through that. How was that?
The first time we went out there to do our belt test.
Okay.
I went to go test for my second degree brown belt, which is the belt before black. And then JD went to go test for his second degree black belt.
Okay.
And we both fought 10 guys back to back.
Wow.
No rest in between. It was the whole Japanese team. And it was surreal. I mean, you gotta think, walking up in a room, being, you know, one of 3 Americans there, and everyone else is Japanese, and barely anyone speaks English. And the only language that we know and understand mutually is fighting.
Yeah.
And have that mutual respect through martial arts that passes the language. Guys can put my lights out, but at the same time, after, they're gonna give me a hug, and we're gonna go have a beer together.
Yeah.
And the Japanese were so kind and respectful people, but again, they don't hold back. but
Yeah.
it's in their nature. It's in their blood. It's a samurai spirit. It's been fascinating with Japanese martial arts, having a background in Gyokushin and having a background in judo. That's just kind of the hub of martial arts in my mind. Obviously, China is too, but we have both passed our tests, and both got our ranks and came back to the States and essentially spent the next year preparing for the world tournament in Japan. That was a tipping point for me. I think that I hyped up that so much in my head that was my goal. That was a goal of mine. That was a dream of mine to be there in the world tournament. Things when I was 18 that I watched on YouTube and always wanted to be a part of. I got there and I hyped it up so much that I froze. We went to go train with the Japanese team, and I was wiping the floor with all of them. And they're like, wow, this American's gonna do great. They wanted to get pictures with me. I feel like a celebrity. It was weird.
Yeah.
And the weight cut was harder on me than I thought it was gonna be. Me walking everywhere. Like, I didn't get time to get in with myself and get ready to fight. I think every fighter experiences this, and I've had them before in the past. Nothing I can spot on remember, but that's spot on for me. A tipping point of this is real.
Yeah.
And this is something that I enjoy as a hobby, or is this something that I want to do as a career, and really how much goes into it.
Yeah.
It's more than knowing skills and being able to throw a punch, throw a kick. If your mind's not there, then it doesn't matter what you know, right? Fighting is more than just physical. You really have to have a certain mindset to be able to go in there and keep your composure and be able to take, punishment and dish it out and stay focused and what you came out there to do, right?
Yeah. Now, you talk about that mindset, 90%. Bryant, what is your driving force, to go to Tokyo and come back and, like you described, it was, you had to take a step back and evaluate.
Yeah, I had to evaluate what was next. And what was next for me was no longer KUDO.
Okay.
As far as KUDO goes, I do want to go back to Japan and test for my black belt. That is a bucket list thing that I still want to do. And to throw away style and open your mind to possibilities and open your mind to really truly expressing yourself. And that's really what I think martial arts has been for me my whole life, is just me expressing like what's your fight name? What's your nickname? I was like, I don't know. I could be this, I could be that.
Sure.
And I don't know why, but autonomous came to me, and I didn't even know what that word was months ago, right?
Okay.
I never heard it before. It's not a commonly used word.
No.
But it describes me in a whole. Self-governing, lawless, no style, and the way I fight and the way I do things are never the same. I flow, and that's where the flow came in with the hybrid. It's just an expression.
Yeah. Well, I could tell you from the short period of time I've gotten to know you, I see everything you described in yourself when we're out here. Your patience when you take the time to work with me, you're very humble. You want to make sure that not only I'm able to focus and focus on the movement the right way, but you're also not just half-assing my time.
Yeah.
So I see all of that, and I think that your fight name definitely complements who you are as a person.